What do you picture when you hear the word learning? Here's a guess. A school, a whiteboard, maybe a chalkboard if you're old school, a teacher, maybe a couple sheets of paper, or a textbook. I'm assuming this visual applies to the majority. What do you picture when you hear the word learning? Learning?
A classroom.
A school. I see a teacher, his classroom.
A teacher.
I see books. Yeah, I picture a classroom. I picture myself sitting there listening to the teacher talk.
Homework.
Books.
And everyone has a number 2 pencil.
This isn't the wrong answer, nor is it a trick question, but why are you thinking of a classroom? Because the word learning walks hand in hand with its best friend's education in school. We often forget that learning is a natural occurrence that takes place outside of school, perhaps just as frequently as it does in. I think the more popularized association of the word should be the one that takes place outside a classroom setting. But what do you mean, Fiona? Learning only happens inside the comforting setting of gray walls and a tiled ceiling to match the dirty tiled floor and rows of desks set facing a whiteboard that's hardly ever used. Right. This is your image of learning. We often neglect the learning we do beyond a desk, nor do we really count it as learning. But how about learning how to walk or how to speak? That's learning, isn't it? Learning. Essentially, this word has one definition, but when we think of learning inside a classroom and learning outside a classroom, it seems as if we would need 2 different words. Let's take what we know about Catcher in the Rye. Well, within the walls of Mr. Spencer's classroom, Holden Caulfield learns that the Egyptians are extremely interesting to us today for various reasons. Modern science would still like to know what the secret ingredients were that the Egyptians used when they wrapped up dead people so that their faces would not rot for innumerable centuries. Post-departure from Pensy Prep, Holden Caulfield finds himself in situations that school could have never prepared him for. These situations reveal the financial truths of life, the difficulties of socializing with others, and the uncomforting teenage inevitability that is sexual frustration. We can take a look at Ross Chast's comic, What I Learned, A Sentimental Education. She writes, I learned that a girl's name could be Muffin. I learned how to make an ashtray out of clay. But mostly, I learned about being good. Given that, now we can answer the question. How does learning outside of school differ from learning inside? You know what you learned in school. You learned who the first president was, you learned how to write in cursive, you learned how to play hot cross buns on the recorder. But in reality, there is no template you're going to follow for the rest of your life.
So color. You're not told where to color, you're not told the back is off limits, you're not told to color in the lines, you're not told to color the drawing, you're not even told to finish. Just color. So why is it that all these look almost exactly the same? Varying in color and style, but overall, the same image. You're coloring in the lines because it's what you've been told to do your whole life. Teachers have said it, parents have said it, your peers might have. You feel like if you don't color in the lines, you're considered a failure. But this isn't about a grade. Hardly anything outside of school is about a grade. We watched a video by TEDx of a presentation by speaker Dr. Tay where he says, quote, layering grades on top of this adds nothing to experience at all. Learning is not brought to you by the letter A. Tay is referring to skateboarding in this sentence, but this applies to all learning outside of school. Learning occurs naturally when you're outside of school. It's not forced onto you by someone else in their lesson plan. It's almost as if when we enter school, we're told to await a regime before we can begin any work. So we do, out of fear that without instruction, we'll fail.
Am I gonna get in trouble for it looking like this?
Just for being different? Even when given a simple task like this, you hesitated, you asked questions, you weren't sure that what you were doing was right. Even if you were completing an objective that wasn't even there.
Look at how he could stay in the lines. Look at those coloring skills.
Funny. Following the same instruction you've known since kindergarten. There's not always going to be a right answer. You shouldn't be looking for one either. When have you ever seen a great artist look for instructions on their canvas before starting a masterpiece? An exam result isn't the only result that matters. So if you color outside the lines, see where it takes you.